Hi everybody, my name is Tahira Ahmed. For my final action research project for the Teach Now Master's Program, the topic that I chose was, the question that I chose for the research project was, do behavior charts have a negative effect on students? Why did I choose this topic? I chose this topic because I've actually struggled with behavior charts in my classroom. So I first used a behavior chart about, I would say, like 3-4 years ago. I had a first grade class who had a lot of behavior issues. And like every day after recess, I would have 5 or 6 kids in the principal's office. Like every day was a struggle, and I didn't know what to do with them. Like I couldn't find a good class management tool that would work with this class. Then I came across behavior charts. So I bought a behavior chart from a teacher supply store. I put it on my classroom door. And then I also made behavior logs for students. So every day, all of the students would start on the color green. And then depending on how they behaved, if they made good choices, they would move their names up. If they made bad choices, they would move their names down. And then at the end of the day, they would get their behavior logs and they would color where they are at. And then they would take the behavior log home, their mom or dad would sign it, and they would return it. The first year that I did this, it really worked well. The kids were really into it, and it really helped them. Like I saw that the behavior had improved. It didn't really disappear. It was there, but it had decreased a lot. So I thought it was effective the first year. The second year that I tried this, it was a different class. Basically, even when I had the group of kids, I didn't have any behavior issues, but I thought it was a good, way of managing classroom behavior. So I tried it. It was fine for I would say the first few weeks, and then I got emails from parents. The parent came in and she was upset, and she told me that she didn't like the behavior chart and the behavior log because it gave her child anxiety. At that time, I didn't quite understand where she was coming from, because to me, a behavior chart is only like a chart on the wall. How was it causing anxiety? I didn't understand. So I think after that, we decided that that specific child would not have a behavior log and her name would not be on the behavior chart, and things were okay. But I still didn't understand why it caused anxiety and why it was so negative. So I had this meeting with my principal, and I told her about this incident, and my principal suggested that I learn more about the positive discipline method and actually even go to their workshop, because she had been to it and it had changed her way of thinking, and she thought it would be helpful to me. So I said okay, and then I went to the positive discipline workshop, and I learned a lot, and I understood why some teachers could think that behavior charts are negative, how they could use it negatively in the classroom. So I understood that. However, I still wanted to see how it really is negative. Like I understood that it might cause anxiety, but again, I needed to find more information about why it was so negative. So that's why I chose this as my research topic. What did I learn from the literature reviews? I learned a lot. It was interesting that most of the articles, book reviews, studies that I read, all of them almost said that behavior charts were negative, that they had negative effects. They all had one thing in common. They all mentioned that behavior charts publicly humiliated children. They also mentioned that the behavior chart just tells the child if they're behaving or not. If they're misbehaving, it tells the child, but it doesn't tell the child how they need to fix the misbehavior. So what happens is that every single day, the same children are going down. Like it doesn't really help them. It doesn't tell them how to fix the problem. It just keeps telling them that, oh, you have a problem, you're not doing something right. I also tried to research articles that were pro behavior charts. I couldn't find a lot. The ones that I did find only mentioned, they also agreed that publicly displaying a behavior chart in the classroom was publicly humiliating for children. They said that it might work if it was individual, like if other children could not see it. But again, that was a maybe, so I'm not really fully convinced that that would be effective or that wouldn't negatively affect the children. How did I investigate my question? So the first thing that I tried is putting up a behavior chart in my own classroom. So I teach first grade. I work at an international school, at an international American school overseas. Our elementary school has like about 8 sections, has 8 grades, sorry, and each grade level has 4 sections. So altogether, I would say we have about 8 homeroom teachers and almost 165 elementary students. In my classroom, I have 16 students, mix of boys and girls. So I put the behavior chart up. It was the same one that I had used years ago, and I put it up. Initially, I put it up vertically, so that means the green was here, blue was here, purple was here, and then yellow, orange, red were on the bottom. So it was kind of like a ladder. And once again, all the students started on green. If they behaved really well, they would get a chance to move their names up. If they didn't behave or were making poor choices, their names would move down. And then at the end of the day, they had a behavior log and they would fill it out accordingly. The first 2-3 days, the kids were really into it. They were excited. And then I started getting parent emails. I think I got about like 4 emails from parents asking me about the behavior chart. They were confused. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what the students were expected, like what caused their names to go down, and so forth. So I understood that it wasn't, that parents were not really excited about it and were not eager to use it. So, and I even had this one parent who was very stern. She wasn't really nice, and she said that her child didn't know what was going on and she wanted a meeting with me. So then I asked her to come in and we would talk about it. So she came in, I met with her, and she told me her concerns. I explained to her that I understood that some teachers might use it negatively, like it could have a negative effect, but my goal is not to use it that way, and my goal is to see if I could use it in a positive way and not use it to humiliate kids, and so forth. The parent was convinced after that, and I told her that we would be in touch and I would speak to her child. However, after meeting with her, I kept reflecting myself. I'm like, wait, should I change it? Should I do something so that it's more positive and it doesn't look more negative? I even spoke to a few of my teachers, and one of the teachers suggested that instead of having the behavior chart this way, like a ladder, I should have it vertically. And initially, I had like 8 different steps for the 8 different stages for the behavior chart. So I decreased that. Now I only have 5, and I put them vertically. And I didn't put them in front of, I mean, they were still in front of everybody, but they were on the side. Like before, it was right next to the door, so anybody who would walk in my classroom could see it. Now they were under the door, the board. So it was visible, but it wasn't so obvious. And honestly, after that, I didn't receive any other parent emails. The kids seemed to be okay, so I thought, okay, this worked. Like, instead of having, like, just changing how it looks like, it made a difference. And also, at the end of the day, I had the kids go up individually and look at where they are, rather than, asking one person to read where everybody is. I had everybody go up individually, look where their names are, and they would color their name in on their behavior log. The one thing, though, that I noticed is that the first 2 weeks, I think it worked. Kids were listening, they were behaving, I didn't have much class disruption, they were being kind to each other, like they were following all of the guidelines that they had, the guidelines or rules that they had decided. However, I noticed a pattern that the same kids kept moving their names down, or to the other color, or not down, to the other color. And then I was like, wait, I read that article, the literature review, they all said that it's not effective because the same kids kept moving down. And it was like an aha moment for me that, okay, so maybe it's not effective. The other thing that I did, so this is what I did in my classroom, I also wanted to see what other teachers are doing, and if other teachers found behavior charts ineffective, or if they thought it was effective, and I wanted to see what they were doing. So I got permission from my principal, and I sent out a Google form to all the elementary teachers with questions on it. And I asked them to fill it out. And the questions were, what do they use for classroom management? What technique do they use? Do they use behavior charts? If they do they think they are effective? If they don't, tell me why. And then the third one was I wanted them to upload what they use. So for example, if they did use a classroom behavior chart, I wanted them to upload it so I can see the difference about how everybody's behavior chart looks, or if they use something else. So it was really interesting. I think I sent it to about, how many teachers? It was surprising I didn't get, I think I sent it to about 11 or 20 teachers, and I got about 11 responses back. So I was expecting more responses, but I only got 11. So that was interesting, but I'm still happy that I got the responses back. It was interesting to see what the teachers did. Most of the teachers agreed that behavior charts were ineffective, and that's why they all followed the positive discipline method. I think I had 2 or 3 teachers that stated that they did use behavior charts and they posted pictures of it and they thought it was effective. And then I had 1 or 2 teachers say that they used something completely else. And then there was one teacher who mentioned that he did use behavior chart, but it was individual. So it wasn't on display for students. And another, I think, mentioned that she used the behavior chart only if it was required. Like, for example, if she had a student in her class who was not following the rules, who kept disrupting the others, like it was an ongoing process, so she would have an individual behavior chart for that one student. Let's see, so I explained the methods, the location, about my school, population, I explained about the classes. I'm sorry, actually there are 8, I think I went over that. The challenges that I faced for this project was that I didn't have enough time. I feel like I used a behavior chart in my classroom. I moved it around. I saw that it was still ineffective. I wanted to see now, like once I take the behavior chart down, I'm going to take it down gradually, and then I want to see how the kids behave. Like, was there a difference? Was there not a difference? I want to see how the parents react. So I feel like if I had more time, I could document all that and see what happens. What were the results? I've already explained the results. So basically everybody, like even from my own class, I could see that behavior charts are ineffective. From the teachers' feedback, I saw that most of them believed that behavior charts were ineffective, once again, because they publicly humiliated kids. I feel like this keeps coming up, even from the literature review, from the teachers' responses, that behavior charts cause public humiliation because the kids see their names in front of all the kids. And then if they do something wrong, they have to move their name up or down. And in front of their peers, they feel sad, they feel embarrassed, and then everyone can see where their name is at. And if I really think about it now, I really think that it is embarrassing. Like if teachers did that, if the principal did that for all the teachers, it would be really embarrassing. It would be frustrating to see your name moving up or down. Next steps. The first thing I would do is take down my behavior chart. After learning about all the negatives about it, I don't want to use it anymore. I think I would move more towards positive discipline and implement it more in my classroom. And also school-wide, I think as a school, like we should decide that none of the teachers should be using a behavior chart, and also explain to the teachers the negative effects of it and make sure that everybody is on board so that behavior charts are not being used in the classrooms.